Is your backyard too small for a garden? I'm going to show you how to make a raised planter box. So here are the materials I used to build this garden box. First thing I'm going to do is take my 4x4 8-foot long timber and I'm going to cut it to 3-foot lengths. These are going to be my legs. So you can see 2 legs cut out of one piece, and I make sure I keep the factory ends on because they're treated the best. Now we have our 4 legs cut. It's time to decide how wide we want to make the garden box based on what space you have and how deep it is. I'm going to go with 36 by 18 inches. So now I'm just going to cut my 2x4s to 36 inches and 18 inches. Every time we've made a fresh cut, we have to throw cut and seal on the end of the lumber. This is going to retreat the wood so that it doesn't rot. So we've got our 4 short pieces and we got our 4 long pieces. Now we'll screw them together to create a rectangular frame. So this is one frame. Now just repeat it and make 2. Our frame's built. It's just a matter of now installing the legs. So I'll do that using 2 3-inch screws on each face. 2 here and then 2 on this side. So now we've got the planter box frame attached to the legs at the top. What we need to do is decide how deep we want the planter box to be. So if I have 10 inches from here, I need to subtract 3.5. So I need to mark 6.5 up from this post. So basically I've used a couple pieces of scrap that I had left over, pulled them out of the bin. I've cut them 6.5 inches, and now I'm going to use them to brace. Simply, I'm just going to take the frame, I'm going to drop it over the legs, slide it down so it lands on this piece and this piece in the corner. And then I'll tag it in place. So with the brace in place on this corner, I know I can fasten this one in place. Then I'll move it over here, double check the height, and continue to screw in all 4 legs. So if you find that your leg is wandering, sometimes these 4x4s have a little twist, a little cup, try using a clamp. If I put a clamp in place, pull it securely into the one side, and then I brace it from the other side. Now that it's secured with clamps, I can screw it together. So with the 2 screws in place, I now can release the clamps and just repeat on all 4 legs. Adding a shelf is really key to making this multifunctional. So with the garden box inverted, I've measured from the center of the legs, here, to the center of the legs here, and it works out perfect. I get the 60-inch piece and I can split it in half and make 2 30-inch rails. Using the same braces as before, I figured it's a good height. I now can mark the heights on each leg by using these as stilts. What you'll notice is that I've rebaited this back a bit. What I'm going to do is put a faceplate on it to go in between, so then it'll lie almost flush with this leg. I'm going to take the measurement from here, 10 7/8, and transfer it to the bottom to spread the legs apart, and screw it in as a faceplate. So now I'm going to make the bottom shelf. I'm going to use 5/4 by 6 deck boards to go all the way across on the short distance, and then I'll run a face board across the other side, just to make sure that you don't see those cut edges. So what I like to do is mark middle and work our way out. So 10 7/8 is our number. I'm just going to cut multiple pieces offsetting from that center line. So with the pattern laid out, I can see that I need to rip 2 of them at 4 3/4. So with all the boards laid out in place, I'm now going to use my 1.5-inch screws to put them down. So with all those exposed ends, I'm now going to cap it with a nice face board, 26 inches. So I'm going to use 2x2s to line the inside now. They'll act as rails where I can lay the boards down that'll be the base of my actual planter box. So when I put them in place, I want them to sit so that the bottom of them are flush with the 2x4s. And because they're small lumber, I'm going to pre-drill them. I'll preset 3-inch screws into each hole. This way it's easier when I go to put them in place. So with those rails in place, now all I need is 1 end rail on the short ends. 10 7/8 is the number on this one. So I'm going to use my 2 offcuts that I have left over from the 2x2 to make that last rail. Remember to go flush with the bottom of the 2x4 again. Now all we have to do is line the box. We'll use deck boards on the bottom and fence boards on the inside walls. So I've taken the measurement of the inside of the box, less than 1/8 of an inch. I've got 17 7/8. I need 6 pieces to line the bottom of this box. So for the last 2 boards, we have to do a funny cut. Because of the way we've made the legs, we have to do a little corner cut out of them. I have 1.5-inch strip and then less the thickness of the board. So that's a 3.5-inch leg, and we'll be on our way. I'm using 2-inch deck screws to secure all the bottom. Our next step is going to be putting the liner on in the inside. For the fence boards, I'm going to run them at 11 1/8. I want to create a symmetrical pattern on the side of the garden box. Doing that means the middle board needs to be in the middle. By marking center on the board, I transfer that center to the side of the rail. With it marked, I can now see how my pattern will lay with all the boards. And I know that at the end, the last board has a small overlap. By holding it against the side of the leg and the side of this board, I can go to the other side and mark up the face of it. And that will give me a score for where I need to go over to the table saw and rip it. I'll take 4 boards over to the saw, cut them at 4 3/4, and I'll have a perfect symmetrical pattern. Now I've ripped my pieces, it's just a matter of stapling them in place. The box is almost complete. All I want to do now is add a picture frame to the top of it. I'm going to use the deck boards to cap it off. 45-degree corners will make it look really nice. With all the pieces cut, I'm now just going to dry fit and assemble the top cap. Something I like to do for extra security is I pre-drill the ends on the side grain. This way I actually get the tops flush. Well, no more excuses if you're running out of space in your backyard. You can build a raised planter box like I did here today. After a week, you should notice that your wood is dry. Be sure to add a waterproofer. This way you can maintain that beautiful natural brown tone.